Everybody to the Board of Education acknowledges that we are on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. We would like to thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working with their children. You see before you the agenda, and I would have trustees just to look at the agenda. Is there anything that is you haven't added or you would like to add, or is the agenda fine? And if so, I have something to move to adopt the agenda. I have Trustee Waite and Trustee Howe.
Underneath.
Are any objections? Seeing none, motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who are the names?
We have some information items on the agenda here. We have, and I'm not sure who's presenting which one, so I'm going to turn to our superintendent. Superintendent Murrow, the strategic plan verbal update. I believe that is you.
Yeah, it's just a quick verbal update tonight just to share where we're at in the process. We did have a survey out prior to spring break where we had 500, I believe just over 590 surveys completed. So really appreciated the time to help inform the next steps. We've also concluded 3 of 4 parent nights. Really grateful for the contributions that and willingness. Meetings that we've been part of that are going to inform the direction as we take those next steps. So we have 2 writing days. So we actually have a board meeting on the 23rd, and then we have a writing day on the 24th of April and the 25th of April. So moving forward quite quickly at that time.
Thank you. Do you have any trustees for questions for superintendent? Trustee Waite.
I don't, it's actually just a point. I just want to make sure I see we're fiddling with the sound a little bit.
It works.
Was the sound
It wasn't.
on and then we accidentally turned it off and now it's back on again?
I'm not sure what happened. I was just at the exact same time.
Well,
Josh.
The lights.
Yeah, so we thought they used to be sort of blue lighting when they were on,
Blue
but there's
green.
no color.
There's no color.
So if we could just,
So red is off, no color is on. That's
Oh, there's red.
There we go.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, sorry to interrupt. I could see some navigating happening.
Perfect, thanks. I have a quick question regarding the feedback. I know that in past we've somehow shared that feedback publicly in what process so that parents wanting to know that they've been heard and we've read it and that we received their input. And I'm wondering if there's a process that we could at some point just let the community know that we saw your feedback, we have it here, and we've read it, just so that they are reassured that we did get it in that one. I'm just wondering what process for communicating that, sharing out.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. I think, I was listening to a story, obviously we're using Lisa Bernodis McCullough, and she was sharing how in a writing process where she had a parent who was part of the writing team process, was at the table with some of the data, and the person was like, hey, that's mine. I wrote that. And it was just that realization that every single piece of information is going to be read and considered in that process. So what we'll try and capture that and make sure that people are aware that their input mattered, that it influenced the direction, and that it was considered. So we'll make sure to find some way to capture that.
Thank you for that. Any other questions regarding the strat plan before we move on to our next update? Thank you. Seeing none, I'm going to turn it over to our Secretary Treasurer, Carrie McPhee, and she's going to give us a budget process overview PowerPoint, or are we going to have, I'm not sure who's doing it. Oh.
We're fortunate enough to have Jennifer with us tonight to do the presentation, which is basically a budget overview and some high-level statistics with regards to our budget. So take it away.
Thank you, Carrie. So you're the chair of the board. So this is just a very high-level process overview of the 24-25 budget preparation process. So we're not getting into the figures, like the numbers today at this meeting. This is really like a kickstart to the process to give you and the public a high-level idea of how we're going to get to the point where we have that budget bylaw for the next school year. So with that said, I'll get started here. So the guiding principles behind building our budget are based on our strategic priorities. I know these are the existing strategic priorities that are currently adopted. We have educational excellence, community engagement, organizational stability and environmental stewardship, and physical health and mental well-being. And just noting that, as our superintendent just mentioned, we're going through a process of adopting new strategic priorities. So there's an extensive consultation process underway currently with surveys launched and community engagement sessions. So once the board has gone through that process and has those new adopted strategic priorities, we will be certainly incorporating them into future budget and financial planning processes. So this is a high-level annual budget process. Although today is the day we're kicking off the public part of the process, work really did start early in the year. Staff were working to come up with enrollment projections of where we feel that those numbers are going to be in September. So working with the school principals, looking at development statistics, our actual enrollment, and analyzing that and trying to come up with a really realistic number of where we feel that that's going to land in September. We have to submit those numbers to the ministry at the end of February, and then that is the basis for our preliminary grant funding announcement, which the ministry will then use and report back to us in terms of how much money we're going to have to incorporate in the budget. So we just received that announcement right before spring break, and staff are currently working, coming up with the figures and what those impacts are going to be for this upcoming school year. So March through May, there's lots of work happening, and you will see some future reports coming forward, starting with the next board meeting, providing you with updates on those figures. And by June 30th, we have to have the adopted budget bylaw completed and to the ministry. So this is a snapshot of the process that the board approved at their last meeting, March 12th. This is the timeline and how we're going to get to that final budget bylaw. So March 15th, we had the preliminary operating grant announcement. April 9th, which is today, we're doing the process overview. At the next meeting on April 23rd, we're going to come back to you with some implications of that grant announcement on what that will have on our revenues. And throughout all of this, we're doing an extensive review. We're looking at all of our operating budgets, staffing levels, where we can find efficiencies, and we're compiling all of that, pulling that into the budget, and so that we can come back to you in May with a solid financial position of where we're going to land with all of those impacts. And through that process, there is engagement with the public and opportunity for public feedback that we will compile and bring back to you to consider through this process. The goal is to have the budget adopted by May 28th, but we do have until June 30th. So although we would like to have it completed by then, we've built time in to allow for any adjustments, or if you receive feedback and we need to do a little bit of further work and need time in there to bring back those reports, we've done that. So we really need to meet that June 30th statutory deadline. There's no wavering there. So having that extra month to know we have time to get there is important. So although we do base our budget on those estimated enrollment amounts, we only actually get paid for the number of students that do actually enroll in September. So once we hit September, we'll get those actual registrations in, and we need to report to the ministry on the 1701 report what that is. And then the ministry will turn around and in December give us what our actual final grant amount's going to be. And that's when we then turn it around into an amended budget. And we have to accordingly, not only will our revenues potentially change, but that could mean staffing changes as well in terms of having to add teachers. It may adjust our expenses. So we need to account for that. And we'll come back to you in February to have the amended budget adopted and submitted to the ministry by February 28th. And then very shortly after that, we turn it around and start working on the next budget. So it's really an all year cycle that's happening and a lot of work going on throughout the year. So as mentioned, we do some enrollment projections that we have to provide to the ministry. So just thought we would include this graph for you, which I know you've seen in previous presentations that the previous Secretary Treasurer provided, but just thought I'd note here, you can see our current enrollment for this year is at 10,121. And we're projecting approximately a 2% increase over the next 3 years. So modest increase. Just to note that we did see a 3.5% increase over last year. So steady enrollment increases. Just thought we'd include this so you can see that significant enrollment growth over the last 9 years. So since 2015, we've had a 40% increase in enrollment. So significant growth. And I just thought I'd put that one in there so you can see. So this highlights our source of funding, and just wanting to show you the significant amount of money that comes from the Ministry of Education and Childcare. So 94% of our budget comes from the ministry. So it's significant. These figures are based on our previous budget because we don't have this budget compiled yet, but those percentages generally don't change year over year. So just really wanting to highlight that here. And in terms of our expenses, 86% of our expenses go towards salaries and benefits, with 14.2% towards services and supplies. So included in the budget bylaw are the special purpose funds as well. There's several of them. I won't go into the details, but certainly they are externally restricted by the ministry, and so that we can only use them for what they are supposed to be used for. We receive requirements that we must follow, and so they are also rolled into our budget. And this just highlights for you that 86% of those special purpose funds also come from the Ministry of Education and Childcare. 13% of those funds make up the school-generated revenues, as well as there's a small percentage, 1%, that relates to our bursaries and professional development funds. We also do have to include capital funding in our capital expenditures in our bylaw. So for land, buildings, computer, hardware, vehicles, furniture, and equipment. Funding for these expenditures do come from the Ministry of Education and Childcare capital grants. We have to apply for the funding every year through submissions, and they are endorsed by the board before we submit them. And then there are other purchases through local capital, operating, and some special purpose if it's allowed. And the local capital expenditures are related to modulars, fleet, technology, furniture, and equipment. And these are funded through a transfer from our operating to source those. So last year, or this current year that we're in, we transferred $2.8 million from our operating fund to fund these local capital purchases. And here you can see that about 50% of that went towards modulars purchases for the schools. 40% goes to technology in terms of keeping our equipment up to date and available. And then we have about 10% going into furniture and equipment and fleet. So I also just wanted to touch here on the board's policy around the level of unrestricted surplus that you need to maintain to as a contingency reserve. And those funds are there intended to help with any unforeseen circumstances that come up, to help hedge any financial risk, or there's sometimes those things happen and we have to make sure that we have a certain level of working capital there to help us through, and then it doesn't affect our operations. An example of that might be when COVID hit and you need to draw on your funds that you have. So this policy outlines the minimum amount that the board should keep on hand is 1.5% of the actual operating expenses in a fiscal year, with the maximum being 3%. So the threshold for that is the minimum would be you'd want to keep approximately 1.6 million, and the max would be around 3.2 million based on your financial situation. And so I just wanted to highlight here, this was the adopted budget that the amended adopted budget for this school year. You came out with a 1.7 million operating fund surplus at the end of that, which is within that range. It's 1.6%, but it is near the bottom of that range. So just highlighting that for you. And that as we build this upcoming budget, we're certainly going to be mindful of that and be keeping that in mind, that we want to maintain that adequate levels of contingency for you while we're working towards our recommended budget. Oops, what happened there? Last slide. Okay, and then just drawing your attention to, there's a new requirement that the ministry has put out for school districts to prepare multi-year financial planning. So we have a deadline to submit a multi-year plan by September to the ministry. It needs to be 3 years. And so once we have a 24-25 budget adopted or endorsed, we'll then get to work on forecasting out those next 2 years. It does not need to be in a bylaw format. It just needs to be in a high-level forecast summary that we'll submit to the ministry. But we will work on that and have that back to you in June with your adopted bylaw. So that is the process this year, and I'll just open it up for any questions that you might have around the process.
Well, thanks, Jennifer, for that detailed report. Do trustees have any questions for Jennifer or Carrie with respect to what was presented this evening? Yes, Christy?
I was wondering, we had talked before about the concept of the multi-year planning, and with the ministry's requirements being 3 years, would it be prudent for us to anticipate and look at planning for 5 years ahead as a standard, as opposed to just the 3-year minimum with the ministry? And could that help us ensure that we're in a better position, like last year where we were at our minimum for our contingency plan, because that's all we had. So maybe by having a bit more foresight into what's to come, would that be beneficial or not?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I do think it would be beneficial. We would certainly We do plan further out, like 5 to 8 years in terms of looking at our reserve and the IT. So making sure that we have those funds to be able to plan out is really important. So we are doing that to some extent. In terms of planning on the operational side, it wouldn't be challenging to pull it out an extra couple years, and I would like to be doing that just for our own financial planning. I'm used to doing those in the municipal world, and I think it certainly could be beneficial for the school district as well. We may not necessarily report to the ministry, but at least for ourselves, we're looking ahead and planning ahead for any of those issues that may come up. And of course, it would always be evolving. So as soon as we have a new budget, we'd be rolling it in and re-looking ahead. So yes, I think we would definitely start with the 3, but a good goal would be to build it out longer term.
Thank you. I'm actually got a question too with respect to that. One of the things, looking at our projected enrollment and looking at budgeting, is because we pay for portables out of our operational, and that's a really big hit out of what we can support students. And that 3 to 5 year planning, when I'm looking at the projections, we're looking at adding portables almost every single year. And that's going to have quite a cost factor of multi-million dollars. So I'm wondering if that's something would be helpful when we go to the ministry and talk about equitable funding and inflationary funding, is having that as a sort of a base to say that as a growing school district, we're adding 4 to 5 portables a year at a cost of $300,000. I'm just pulling that one there. But that's money that's coming out of the classroom for buildings. Mm-hmm. In retrospect, I'm wondering if that's something that would maybe assist with going to the ministry and saying it's capital, you should be funding it out of capital rather than funding it out of operational. Is that something that could be a factor as we go forward? Just a thought.
Well, I think just to maybe respond to that is that when the ministry is looking at our capital submissions, and if they are considering projects, they often will look to the school district to provide some form of support in terms of helping to fund in some way. And certainly reiterating the fact that, look, if we get these capital projects, we won't have to spend these operational funds on modulars. So we can, potentially free up a little bit of funds there too to help support. Or I know that when my understanding from our director of operations, when they're doing these submissions for capital, they are incorporating what those costs are for modulars as well. But maybe, Carrie, if you had anything further you'd like to add around
that, when we submit our plans with the capital asks, that we're submitting the cost of those modulars. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Michelle?
Got one. I can't remember the date timeline, but I was curious when you will be able to share the dates and the type of public consultation that will be held. When do you anticipate having that information available?
That information was in our timeline that was provided at our last meeting, which I don't have handy.
Okay. I don't remember it either. I think that's why I'm asking. And I know in the past we've done online consultation where we've had submissions come in as well as a session for public. I was just curious.
There,
Yeah.
April to May 3rd.
Yeah. This doesn't say in what format.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was more my question.
Oh, like whether we'd be doing
When the public will, when do you anticipate the public being aware
right.
or sharing with the public what the public feedback options will look like?
Right. Now, I do believe in I'm looking at you, Jennifer. I don't know if you have the timeline handy on your computer, but I thought that we did list it in the timeline, at least opportunities for the public to provide input in these meetings, for sure.
Yeah, so at the April 23rd meeting, that's an open board meeting, so that would be on a public agenda. So the public's certainly welcome to attend. Once we have more of a fulsome report and in a format that we can share with the board and the public. We certainly would be launching something on our website, inviting the public to come to any of those open meetings, having a way for the public to provide feedback through some form of survey portal on our website as well. So I think just at this point, the structure of the process happening through those public meetings and ensuring our communications is we can certainly advertise through Facebook or that kind of thing that, hey, the budget's being presented this evening, and that kind of thing, I think, is how I see that it would work through this process, and similarly, I believe, to last year, how it worked.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Jennifer, for that presentation. We're looking forward to the next step in hearing what the budget will look at and that process and the consultation process. So thank you all. And invite our next group in.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. So Jay, I don't know everybody, so I'm going to call you up to introduce.
Introduce me. I will introduce Mr.
I only know the speakers. I don't know everybody.
They'll do introductions.
Just let me know when you're ready.
You can sit or stand, actually, whatever works for you. How about right along this side here? Get out of the way.
And either.
It's natural teachers, they all want to stand.
Okay, so.
Little team?
There you go.
Okay, so on behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to welcome you all to this evening's meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Associate Superintendent Jay Dixon. If you could kindly do the introductions to all the lovely staff members who've come out to entertain us this night with some of the great work they've done with students. I see Lego over there. I want to play with that.
Well, we have quite an exciting presentation for everyone tonight with some tangible show and tell as well. Just going to make sure our presentation, we good with it on PowerPoint?
You're good with it on the PowerPoint?
Okay.
We thought we sent it in advance,
I'm just
but
making sure it's on the screen.
No.
not that we know, but I could do that. I thought it would be on. Don't mind me.
All these chairs now, are you interactive? What's?
You're okay.
Walk around. We can walk ahead.
Karen, you have it.
Oh, do you? Excellent.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Who likes the beach? Who likes the beach? Sorry.
That's all right. I like mountains.
Who likes to fish?
Yeah.
Who likes the stars that's kind of spaced out? Okay. Who likes the mountains and views and stuff like that? There we go. Who likes to garden? Oh, I'm running out of things. There we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm getting in trouble.
It's okay.
Hey, who likes mountain biking?
Oh.
Gone. Who likes Sasquatches? Gone. Who likes farming?
I like Sasquatches.
Yeah.
Well, unless you like killer whales.
Killer whales. Oh, serious.
Farming. I go way farther back than Janice, so don't worry about it. And anybody else like killer whales? Did I get everybody?
Killer whales are great.
I
Love killer whales.
Do you want to? We don't have one.
Okay.
Okay, there are a couple.
Carrie needs one.
There are more. Who? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, come on.
You like log cabins by chance? Oh,
Sasquatch.
you like Sasquatch?
Yes, unicorn.
Somebody, not me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Brought by a bunch of great eats family.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
That's very cool.
And we just about have their PowerPoint up.
Almost. I'm just delaying. This is called stall tactics.
That's all right.
Excellent.
I literally.
It was a similar vibe. I went way more exciting.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Good, Jennifer. Wonderful. You did wonderful, Jennifer. Proud of you. Proud of you. Look at us go. Aw.
Okie dokie. As you can see, we've got a great team here with the Creative Careers Department. We're going to take our short amount of time to give you a snapshot and overview of all the wonderful things that our team does to support our staff, our students, and our families across the district. And I'm going to introduce you first to Sherry Martins, one of our district leads for our student department, and Zale Darnell. One of our district leads, and they'll take it from here. I'm excited to see, learn, and play with all of you.
Thank you so much for the invitation. As we get our PowerPoint on the screen, we're getting ready to go there. I missed your introduction, so sorry, I was busy. I'm Sherry Martins. I'm Vice Principal at Martinsfeld Secondary School, and we appreciate the invitation to present tonight with my colleague Zale Darnell, who's principal of Miracle Beach Elementary. This year we were given the opportunity to work with our career staff as district leads. So I'm very happy to work with Steve, Dawn, and Tammy over the past year and learn a lot from them and with the team. So as we get that going, sorry, Zale, our first slide, which is lovely, lists all of the career staff in our district. So we are just so lucky to have so many staff at all the district schools, including the LOTC, including Glacier View. We have four program workers and many career staff and teachers that support all the programs that we're going to describe to you tonight. So, I'm losing my voice actually as well. So, that's all that was for me. So I'll just wait on here.
Okay, here we go. We are slowly working on getting presentation ready. One of the things that we started with when Sherry and I took on our roles is we wanted to look at why we do things and what our purpose and what our vision and what our goals are, and then take the programs that we run and align them within that. And so we did a pretty good big exercise right at the beginning where we worked with all of the career staff. Can you go back one thing? So you can see there's actually a lot of career staff in the district, and basically there's someone at all of the high schools, including Glacier View, including LOTC. And so we got together as a group and we took feedback from students, we took feedback from industry and community, and we said, what are our defining kind of priorities and goals? And can I go next slide, please, Steve? And so we chose to focus on educational excellence and community engagement, and I don't want to be the person that reads a slide, so it's up there if you'd like to take a look. It's kind of what defines the work that we do. And so then we look at all of our programs aligning with what our goals are. So really we're trying to target and enhance opportunities for kids. And I think as a whole, our group did a great job of kind of highlighting what our goals are and then establishing our programs to fit within our goals. So, I'm going to turn it over to Dawn, Steve, and Tammy, and they're going to talk about specific programs that fall within that. Enjoy.
Thank you. Well, it's hard to see. Okay, thanks for having us. My name's Dawn. What's up on the screen right now, those are 5 big areas that the 3 of us support, in addition to the teachers at the high school, and the program workers at the schools. And so going through these different things, they have, over the years, we've built them, and more students are getting involved. Every year we've had continual growth. And so with that, we're feeling pretty positive in the directions that we're going. But the other thing too with this is that we're always looking at what else are we missing? And so what else can we bring into the fold? So I know AI is a big deal right now. And so how are we supporting that? Where are we moving with that? And so bringing those experiences in and working with Kara Dawson and Shannon as well in that area. So what we'll do right now is big picture, those are all the things, but
we're, between the three of us, we're just gonna touch base on a few of those and kind of dig into them a little bit to try and give you a bit of a deeper picture on bigger pieces that we do. So one of the big ones is careers curriculum. And so with the careers curriculum, we do support K-12. And with that, we bring in some resources. So for example, My Blueprint's a really big one. It is a resource that we can use in our classrooms. So in our district, we really focus on My Blueprint, grades 8-9. You really used to focus on 8-12, but other programs are always evolving. So My Blueprint, we focus 8-9, they use it quite heavily, but then Education Planner BC. So if you don't know this, Education Planner BC, we use it heavily grade 10, 11, and 12, but that's where all students apply for post-secondary. So for example, if you want to go to UVic, you actually apply through Education Planner BC now. You don't apply to UVic. And so this is one where we immerse the students in it, and it is a wealth of knowledge. Everything is in there about costs and how long it takes to do a program, what institutions across BC offer the program that you're interested in. And so it goes very deep and provides everything that you need before you can even apply. So it's a really good resource. So we use that heavily so the students are prepared. And then the other thing, so those are our resources, but if you're breaking it down, so K7, one of the things when I came in, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna work with the teacher librarians. And so every year, once or twice, I get together with the teacher librarians and I'll bring in kind of the latest resources available. And so with them, when I first did it, we actually worked together for an entire afternoon, and each school got to pick the resources they wanted to purchase for their school, and we created lesson plans for all of them. And then in addition to that, if their school wasn't able to purchase the books, we worked with the LRC, and the LRC purchased them so that the schools could access them as well. And then we as well purchased them so that if they didn't have access to those, they could take ours for a longer period of time and just use them at their schools. So those came in, we got lessons. So we're continuing building on that, and all of this is on our website. So anything that we talk about tonight, you'll probably find it on our website. We're always building on it and changing it. And anytime we create something, we want to make sure that it's a downloadable and accessible for teachers. So if it's something that, depending on your grade, could change, we make sure it's in Word so that a teacher can download it and tweak it to fit them and their students in their curriculum. And then other things we'll have, they're just up in PDF, and teachers can always access them. And so we'll show you some examples of those as well. So picture books, as well, artifact totes. We know that hands-on manipulatives are very excited, or children are really excited to have them, use them, see them, and a lot of students learn that way. So we want to make sure we're UDLing everything we do, so we make sure that we have tangible items for students to use. And so every one of our elementary schools has a careers tote, and in that are activities, and it includes assessment pieces and the core competencies. And then if we go on and we want to talk about grades 8 to 12, when I came in here, we had Sherry at one point now that was contracted, and she created a whole bunch of careers lessons. And that was like the first year it came out. And it was kind of to get everybody started. And then from there, what we've done is this year on all the Pro D days, I worked with the grade 10, 11, and 12 careers teachers, and we created a district scope and sequence document. And so together, we looked at what are the best resources that are out there, how do we access them, and how can we put them in a document so that no matter what grade you're in, you're doing something new and exciting. So we did that for 10, 11, 12. This next school year, we're creating the scope and sequence documents for grade 8, 9. So that should be there, and students should be able to experience something new in each grade in the careers curriculum.
Applied design skills and technologies, that is one big area in this district. It encompasses computers, business eds, home ec, shops. It just keeps going and going. So it's a massive area. What we do as a careers department is we do a lot of supporting of the elementaries with a lot of this stuff. So we're going to talk about for the next few slides, basically about just the different things that we support within our district and why we're doing it and how it culminates at the senior levels.
So junior ADST, again, one of the big things is everything is on our website for teachers. So if they need anything, they can look at everything before, figure out what fits for their students, and then they can contact us and we'll help them implement it to our classrooms. So with that, for this one specifically, I'm going to talk about this year already, between the three of us, we've supported 106 classrooms with projects.
between grades K to 7. And so with that, we know that it is continuing to grow, and we want to make sure that students are getting, again, those hands-on projects. How do I do things with my hands? For some students, it's their place to shine. And when students are finished, they get to go be the leader and the helper. So it allows students that don't necessarily shine in one area to shine in another, and it validates why they're there. So we want to make sure we're continually supporting those and providing those opportunities. So every year we add more and more projects to our website for teachers, and we're always doing district emails like, who wants to do this project? First 10 people will come and do it in your classrooms for you. You get the resources, and then teachers, that word spreads, and people, more and more people want to do it, and they feel comfortable with it. So we'll go over some ADST stuff, and it's a stretch for some people. They've never touched those tools, they've never done those things, so they really want our help. And so that's kind of where we spend quite a bit of our time during certain times of the year, is in classrooms helping teachers get a better understanding and feel for potentially using hand saws with their grade 4 students. And so with that, we provide the resources for all the projects and builds, but we also do teacher training. So for example, I just had teacher training all last week, and so that's for grades 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 classrooms that want to do spring projects. So for example, we have our birdhouse. So this is a grade 6 project. I'm going into Miracle Beach to support 2 classrooms tomorrow with this one. So we're going to make bird houses. And so these ones are a bit complex. They got to be perfectly square. So I am going in with the chop saw. So I'll go in, I'll bring the chop. So they have to do all the cutting first, but if it doesn't go nice and square, we'll show them how to use the chop saw. I'll do the chopping, but they'll get the experience of, oh, that's what the chop saw is for and how to use it as well. So we're doing that project. And then this is another project too. So this is our table caddy. But this project's a step above this one. I call this more our phase 2 project. And so this is a project where students actually have to figure out, they get 2 pieces of wood and they have to design something they feel they need or could give to somebody in their life. And so students create, they'll have a 1x4, so this is lath, and this is 1x4, so they get 1 4-foot piece of each, and they have to go through a placemat activity and design it. So this is one, I just picked some daffodils from my yard before I came, but this is one where I was like, you know what, I have a picnic table at home, and so for me, I'm like gonna put my cutlery and my napkins in it and can just go outside. So anyways, there's lots of different things they can build, but again, they get to ideate and design it themselves, which is the big picture of ADST, right? We want them ideating and designing and prototyping. And the other piece too, just with this, so on our website, here's an example. This is our planter box. So these are the guidebooks we make for teachers. And so this one's in color just for you guys. But so we'll do these, and it's a step-by-step guide. And these are the beginner books. Like, you pick up this piece of wood, this is what that piece of wood looks like. And this is what it looks at 6 inches. So there's the measuring tape at 6 inches. So teachers can put this on their board, and students can follow along, and the teacher will walk through it with them. And then on the back is also additional resources that they can use. So there's some David Suzuki ones here, some videos and some websites, just so that they can expand on the curriculum. And then even going with each one of these is an assessment sheet. And so these are in Word, teachers can change them, but there's the curricular competencies and the proficiency scale, there's goal setting and core competencies. So we have one of these that goes along with each project, so that teachers don't have to stress about this stuff. They can stress about be it safety or this being their own thing about this is my first time doing these types of projects, to help get them started. And again, so when Steve and I first started 5 years ago, one of the first things we did is we built toolboxes for every school. And so that's the picture on the left there. So there's 14 totes in it. 2 students share a tote, and then there's 2 extra totes that have additional items like sandpaper, hearing protection, drill bits, because they use a lot of drills, those sorts of things.
Grade 7 Tri-Equate, it's an institution. It's been around now, I don't know, about a dozen years. And what's really cool is if you've never come out to see it, you got to come, please. It starts off in the morning with a group of grade 10, 11, 12 students from either Vanier, Isfeld, Highland, Glacierview, and Alatsi. Right? They come to the building and they get trained and taught about a trade that morning. And then from there, at about 11 o'clock, the elementary schools show up. And then those students are responsible to teach those grade 7s the trade that they've learned. Right? And what's really cool about it is When you start doing it for this long and you get the elementary teachers coming in and going, hey, Ryan, oh man, I haven't seen you for so many years, right? Because we tend to try and connect it, the grade 11 kids, 12 kids with the elementary school that they actually went to, right? What comes out of it is this, which is really interesting in the last couple of weeks. We have 4 or 5 kids that are now going in to be shop teachers. And all those kids, I know for a fact, they went and did tri-trade. So they learned that they like to teach kids based on that program alone. So kids, when you walk into a school, they go, well, when's tri-trade? It's in May, don't worry about it. Yeah, but, can I go? No, you can't, only once. So it's an institution. It is part of this district, and it's been going on for so long, and it's a great program, right? It's culinary, it's auto, it's electrical, it's plumbing, right? It's drywall roofing, we'll hang them up with a fall arrest thing. And the kids just have a blast, right? It's part of the portfolio for the year for the elementary kids. So it's a great program, right? It's partially funded by Skill Trades BC. And like I say, you have 150, 200 grade 11, grade 12s that come and support it, while the 700-ish or whatever it is, elementary grade 7s come to the building. Pretty cool. Electronics 3D printing. So a lot of times we think of, some of us are older in here, what was high school like? Some of us weren't allowed to take shop back then. Some of us can only take, woodwork because nothing else is out there. But there's so much more out there nowadays. So we have access to laser cutters now. We have access to 3D printers now. So you can go into a school and, bottom left picture is airport, right? Valentine's Day. And they laser cut out a simple little heart, put some electronics in the back of it. Yes, okay, it only turns on, right? But it's the start, and it's the start of a career path. That's what's so cool, because then what happens, you get to grade 11 and you end up in like in a physics engineering class or something, and it's really cool. Because then, you kind of just touch things, right? And then you go by it and go, oh, that's really cool, right? But that passion starts in the elementary schools. And you have the kids start there and they'll go all the way through. They hit grade 12, and that is when the light bulb kicks in. And that is where the passion and what the careers kicks in, and they go, I want to be an engineer. I want to be an electrician. I want to be this. And that's where that tri-trade electronics 3D, that touches on what group of kids? The kids that don't want to get their hands dirty. The kids that are your computer people. The kids that like to play with 3D printers like this guy's kid does. Okay, they like to program stuff so the lights come on at their house, right? That is what this starts those kids off. How do I know it? I taught that grade 30 years ago. I know that passion all the way through, right? And that's what's really cool about doing stuff outside the box. A lot of times it's always, well, we didn't have this as an element when we were in elementary school. No, of course you didn't, because that stuff didn't exist. It only existed in magazines where you shot things out of the sky. But now it's in schools, right? Kids are learning how to draw in 3D. Well, how do you present stuff nowadays in 3D? You don't go to a drafts person and have it all flat on the table. No, it's a 3D model. Our kids in this valley across this district do all this stuff. That's the cool thing. Oh, okay. Well, I kind of burst the bubble on the senior ADHD thing. So anyway, senior ADHD is really also, I'm going to talk more about the shops more than anything. Okay. Traditionally, bed on the left, right? When I was in shop back in, 1980, whatever it was, you built a bed or you built a desk or a dresser, whatever, right? But then all of a sudden you get planter things, which was done. That's the picture on the right. That's Glacier View doing woodworking up on the stage. If you've ever been to Glacier View for a meeting, that's the stage of Glacier View where they're doing a bunch of stuff, right? But that's where you start getting into this cooler stuff, right? When you have access to laser cutters, when you have access to 3D printers, when you have access to CNC routers, right? It starts to grow. So if you haven't figured it out, this thing here, that's 3D printed. And then it's airbrushed in the art room. But that is 3D printed. The person had to draw the whole thing. Right? But this is what we can do now, right? And our kids are so much farther ahead than so many other places. That's grade 8s. That's the grade 8 project as a side project to regular woodworking, right? You start looking at this, that's a bandsaw box, but that's just woodworking stuff. But the creativity, where does that come from? We'll talk about that one later. Okay, there's a story behind that one. The creativity is you have physics and engineering classes, right? You have the creative collectives and that's and doing things. You have more than just woodwork and metalwork now. You have the electronics, the robotics, all these things, right? And that is where our kids in this valley are competing on national levels and things. And we'll talk about that later.
Excellent.
I'm Cami. So one of the projects I took on this year was kind of bringing food sustainability into the elementary schools. So this was K to 7. I do a little bit in the seniors as well, but not quite as involved as these kids. So what I usually do is I go to one of the classrooms. So this is a picture of a classroom, grade 3 classroom at Rob Road. We talked about different fruits and vegetables, what's in season. We talked about what you can do with the food scraps. So the rind of a watermelon, well, you can pickle it. What do you do with the leftover lemon? You can zest it or use it to clean your stainless steel. So we talk about all the pieces that nothing can go in the garbage. Always first and foremost, use it, feed people, feed animals, and then compost. We talk about where it comes from and how far it had to travel. And then what kind of jobs you can have around food that work within food sustainability. And while doing this, I'm cutting up fruit to make a fruit salad. So I talked to all the kids about where it comes from. And sometimes, like this one, we had a dragon fruit, so introducing new fruit, which is really cool, but where did it come from? And so once we go through this, they eat it, and we have this map. This is interactive with the kids, and it shows them how far that one bowl of fruit salad traveled. And this is grade 3, and they were all pretty astonished at where everything came from. They just thought it came from the grocery store. It doesn't come all the way from Vietnam. So this was a good piece to show them, and they had grade 3, they had so many questions, and they had a lot of input on this, and they went home, and I heard from some parents, they're saying, well, we can't get this kiwi. This came from too far. We need to go and look elsewhere. So those were some really good things that came out of it. And then it continues on to working with Lush Valley, so working with that partnership we already have with Lush Valley. I've worked with them a lot in the classroom when I was in the classroom, so this was a no-brainer for me. And they come in and they help financially. They also help with supporting me throughout the 2 days that I work with the kids. So the first day is in their classroom, and then the next day, or the next week, they come to Isfeld, and we work on a bigger dish, so bigger scale, and they're all hands-on and involved. So here we are making fresh pasta. With that, we made a creamy tomato sauce. Everything is made from scratch. All ingredients are as local as I can get it, right down to the flour we use for the pasta, local eggs. If we can't get quite as local as we want, we will look at ingredients that are past or close to its best before date. Not expiration, but best before. So kids know that if something is on sale because it's close to the expiration date, there's nothing wrong with it. It maybe is a bit lesser in quality, but it still is a valuable food source. And then just showing the kids how to make it from scratch and how easy it is. So for this one, because they were grade 3, we had quite a few parent volunteers, and I had some student volunteers as well. And it went very, very well. The kids had a great time, and they still, I talked to one mom still, and she makes that same pasta dish for her kids once a week, because it was super easy. And this is just some of the feedback. This is the piece I loved about it, is the teacher I worked with at Rob Road. He sent these emails he got about this. He was my very first class doing this project with, so I wanted some of this feedback. So just talking about, this one says, talk about impact. I ran into 2 other families this weekend. One of the families borrowed their grandma's pasta maker so they could make it at home. And the boy said, Mom, I am now helping in the kitchen. So that was great. That is what I wanted to get out of it. So it was perfect for me. I also have since done it with a grade 7 class from Quinish, and then I have another grade 5 class coming up. And eventually I'll go on the website so I can offer it to some more teachers as well. And the food sustainability piece is a good way to educate the kids on what it looks like in our community, opposed to maybe even other communities, what they could do as a career path that works with food sustainability. So Lush Valley is a good piece of that. And yeah, the Lush Valley talks and speaks to it. And then I also teach the professional cook level 1. So sometimes I have them in talking about what kind of career path they took around food and what it looks like for them. Oh, one more thing.
That's okay.
So we talk about what you do with the leftovers as well. So this is leftover egg whites from making well, it's not anymore, but from making the pasta. So we use the egg yolks only. So we talk about, like, what do we do with the egg whites? Do we throw them in the garbage? So the kids had requested a chewy meringue cookie to be more like a marshmallow texture. And we had leftover lemons from the fruit salad, so that zested in there. So it's a lemon chewy meringue cookie. Start with you guys. I'm all over that. So they are chewy, be warned. They do stick to your teeth a little bit. But kids like it better when it's like a marshmallow. And they're not going to like bring them back. Just showing them that everything that we use can be used in another way. It doesn't have to be used. You share the recipe. I know. I will share all the recipes that we did for this.
Presentation.
I don't have baked goods. But one of the last things, so junior ADST, again, is a massive thing. So if you think about all the electives and things students can do in high schools, how are we supporting our elementary schools with that? And so robotics is one we introduced. So this is 5, 6, 7. Students can start with the robots. So these are Lego. And this bridges into all the stuff that Steve does with the high school students. So we have 4 class sets of these. So we sign them out to schools for a term. And so all the schools, the teachers at the school that want to use them have access to them. And they can book me in to come in, and this is definitely a stretch for a lot of people. It's either the hand saws or the robotics. And so the software that goes with them and everything, it is a steep learning curve. So I'll go in and I'll help them. And the other thing too is I've created a lot of YouTube videos on working with these. So teachers can go to the YouTube videos, get an introduction to the software and that. And then I'll also come in and help them. Or I go in after school and help them. So however that works for them. And then as well with this, twice a year we hold competitions. So we have junior skills that Steve will talk about. So any students that use it in the first semester, they're all invited to go and attend Skills Canada. And then at the end of the year, we have a robotics tournament at Aspen. And so last year at Aspen alone for term 2, we had 90 students attend. And so they came, and those are just the ones that wanted to compete. So they come in, the numbers are continually growing with robotics. And so yeah, we just put on a competition and they get to do it, and they have a pretty good time. Okay. So one thing that kind of came down the pipe this year, the ministry started to present the idea of Careers Week for BC. And so this year was called Careers Week and Related Activities. Because it hadn't been fully put through. And so our district took it on and we went, yeah, you know what, we're going to do this. And so we had an entire week where every teacher in the classroom had access to careers related materials. So for elementary, and I'll explain this one in even more depth in the next slide, is teachers had access to presenters. And so we had access to presenters from the UK that came in and did a big virtual Guess My Job event. And then we had presenters locally that were willing to go into classrooms. And so I shared information with all the elementary school teachers on how to access all of this. And then the other thing is I created lessons for K to 7. So all teachers in the district had access to 1 or 2 new lessons around careers for their grade level. In our secondary schools, we actually put on large scale events. And so, for example, Vanier and Highland and Isfeld, Vanier alone, we brought in 25 presenters. And students, we had our careers teacher there. She created and used an app, and students had to sign up virtually like they would if they were going to a conference. They signed up virtually and they chose the presentations that they wanted to go to. And so they went around, they saw their presentations. And then at lunch, we had a job fair. So we had tables lining the hallways at Vanier. Same thing at Isfeld and Highland. It looked a little bit different at each school, but we had the job fairs and tables where people were providing opportunities for students to hand in their resumes or just talk about their career field. And it was a very big hit. So I think we'll keep proceeding with it again next year. And I did speak with the ministry, and things are moving ahead with making it an annual event. So it will always be in November, because November is a National Careers Month. Okay, so this one, presenters in the classroom. This is one that came up. I saw this. We learn from other people. So I saw this in Victoria. So one of the ladies, I meet all the time with different people, and as we all do in our field, because we need to continually learn and branch out in what we're doing. So we hear from our peers about what's being successful in different districts, and this is one that I heard about. So presenters in the classroom. So I worked with the IT department, and we created a portal. And in there, it's kind of the picture. It's a portal for teachers. And that's the background picture there. And teachers can go in, and there's a little how-to video, but teachers can go in and they can see all the different people that have signed up to be presenters. They can see how they want to present, the topic they present on, the grades, whether they're going to come in and do it face-to-face, if they want to do a virtual meeting. So all the information's on there. And we created a handbook. And so the handbook has pre-lessons, post-lessons, and then a how to also send the code of conduct to the presenter, and just the conversations that have to go over, the teacher has to go over with the presenter coming in. And what we did is we actually sent an email home to every parent in our school district, and we had over 200 people sign up to be willing to come and present in our schools. So it was a very easy thing. And then just annually, I just send out another quick email, who wants to be off the list, who wants to be on the list. And so it's just refreshed each year. And one of the new things that we've introduced this year is the Guess My Job events. And so we have another one coming up at Quinish at the end of the month. And that's where we bring in 3 people, and they're just dressed in regular clothes. And students have to ask yes or no questions. And then they leave and they come back with their artifacts or their uniform on or whatever it is. And then students can ask them questions and they talk about their career. So, yeah. Right, me again. Okay, work experience. So work experience is a course that we offer at our high schools. And so students, whether they have a job or not, whether they want to get a job, so they can go to their work experience program worker. So we have a program worker in every one of our high schools. And the key point for this is that we want students to be able to get a job. So they work with community. We also have one of our program program workers that is a part of Chamber of Commerce. So they're always liaising with the chamber. They go to all the chamber meetings and they come and help bring us back information and connections on getting our students different jobs in the community, as well as these two. So I think we're always working at like who needs to hire students, who needs a job. And then at our school, there's a constant announcements about who needs a job for the summer, do you have a job? And we can give students 8 credits, so 2 course credits for work experience 12A and 12B.
What's really cool actually is that bottom photo is that picture, I believe, of the very first student that Kelly at Vanier actually placed out in on a work experience. And she met her years later at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and they finally figured out where it was, but she now owns Island Ties Vet. So, and she said to her, you know, because you placed me there, that is why it got me to where I am today. So the influence that we have in the placements and things like that are so integral to what happens with our kids in this community. I can't emphasize that enough. All right, cruise tours. This one's really simple, straightforward. We go places. Today we're on the base, right? Then we went to Campbell River, and we went to, and we were with the construction engineers today, and then we were up at Campbell River, and we went to a place called Timar that builds grappling guns, right? And then we had to stop at Lee's Chicken for lunch, okay? But next thing you know, we go to Vancouver, and you go to BCIT's aerospace campus, right? Or you go downtown Vancouver to Microsoft. Now, we haven't done any of these tours because of COVID and coming out of it, and things haven't started up, but we go places. You can put a kid or a presenter in front of kids. Some kids will just check out, and it's easier just to take them places, okay? So, you know, we'll do the NIC campus tours, we'll do VIU, NIC, UVic, places like that, right? And you show them the facilities where they might be going next year. But it's really cool when you go up to Sealand Aviation, which is in Campbell River, and they rebuild sea otters and to have with beavers and things like that, right? And then you're in there for 45 minutes, an hour, you come out, and by the end of that, these 2 girls are sitting there going, this is what I want to do, okay? And then the person that was touring us says, do you really want to do it? I do, okay? And what happens is that connection, the emails are exchanged with the phone numbers. Those 2 kids, one from Nalassy, both female, are now doing work experiences up at Sealand, okay? And what happens then is you build these community partners, which is coming up in a second. I don't know why I'm holding that, by the way, okay? But the bottom line is there's times where you connect kids, right? Down here on 5th Street, right? We've been watching that building on 5th Street go up. You realize the corner one goes for $2,600 a month? Yeah, because Ryan Tran from Napa told us because we were sitting in there, right? But those tours are so important to kids to be able to see what's out there, right? We'll go up and down the island, we'll go to Lower Mainland, right? But it's so integral to kids actually figuring out what they want to do. Oh, back to you.
STEP program. So STEP, we're going to bridge into trades programs right now. So STEP program, that's kind of our starter place for any students in our district. So they leave grade 7, they go into the high schools. How are students introduced? How do they get skills? How do they get a resume built? How do they get a job? So STEP program is one we run out of Sandwick School. It runs 4 days of the week, and we have 3 steps to it. So the way it works is students come and they can do step 1. Step 1 is 4 days. And so they're going to pick a day of the week. Zale wants to come. Zale, you're on Tuesdays, STEP program. You start next Tuesday.
Perfect.
Zale will come for 4 Tuesdays. That's step one. They get the introduction to electrical, carpentry, masonry, and they get some certification. So they leave step one with their WHMIS certification, all things to put on their resume, help them get a job. If they really liked it, they can come back to step 2, again, 4 days, and then step 3. So over the course of these 3 stages, these 3 steps, students get immersed in each one of the trades. They build projects, so they actually leave with a table that they can take and use in their house. And they also leave with 3 large certifications. So they can get their supervisor management, they can get their forklift certification, and they get their WHMIS. They also get a ton of different safety and all their introduction to hand tools and power tools.
Community partnerships, helping schools and students. So community partnerships are so integral to this program, right? When you go back a dozen years, 15 years, when we started this all, and how it's grown to, you can call Dodge up right now, or okay, not now, they're gone, but at 9 in the morning say, look, a trade tour just canceled, can we show up? Yes, you can. That doesn't happen unless you have that communication and that partnership, right? You can go into the community wherever it is, CSN Reliable, right? And just phone up. But where it builds from there is we have our students get into those places, right? And they get the work experiences. Because if you have that relationship, it lets us keep growing with the community partners, because we have companies now that are saying, look, we've hired 3 or 4 of your kids, we want to sponsor things, right? And that's what's really cool for me to see, is because you look after all the trade stuff, right? So community partners, right? You go up with Fall River Logging, you go up and see a faller buncher, processor, person jumps out, and talks. Well, next you know, there's a load of logs come your way, right? Eventually they get turned into lumber, right? From there it goes back into schools, right? And you start building garden boxes and things for schools, right? And there's just that cycle of things, that whole circle of going around. But it starts with 30 years ago, you might have taught a kid, right? And then now you're starting to teach the grandkid or the kid of the kid, right? Which is kind of weird, okay? But it's really cool because that industry and business partnerships are what are helping us as a careers department be able to get our kids everywhere, right? That's the cool thing, okay, for us, right? And it's constantly out there. So, now I like the car. Okay, it's just a car. It's a simple sheet metal layout project, which is very important for people to understand how to lay out sheet metal, bend it, rivet it. If I turn it on, okay, that's it, jam it. There we go. Right, it goes flying along. Susan, grab it. Okay, grab it, quick, grab it, step on it.
It's too nice.
The point of this is the relationship was in the community, Sealand Aviation, and we went up there. And this was the leftovers of the beaver wing that was being repaired, and they had all this scrap aluminum. It's donated back to the programs, right? And as a result, now you don't have to pay the $200 for a sheet of aluminum, because now we have the materials there. And that was part of a Trade Sampler Simple project, right? So it's pretty cool, right? We help a lot of kids and schools, right? We buy lumber, we put it into the schools, right? You go to Home Depot, you get a lift of wood, you cut it all up, and it ends up going into the elementary schools, right? It's really cool, right? But we help this. But as a result of it, that partnership, it's a give and take, right? And it builds our kids in. A company, oh my God, I've hired 3 kids out of your robotics program we're going to talk about in a bit. They're amazing. How can we help you? But that's partnerships, and that's community, and that's how far we reach into the community as careers people, okay? Skills Canada. If you don't know, next week we're going to Skills Canada Provincials. There are, 11 or 12 kids from this valley. There's only 19 competitions, so you can figure out how many of us won versus Campbell River and parts of Qualcomm. And, so we do pretty well. This is the start of places, okay? Unfortunately, that's an old photo. No, it's got one new in there. These are my props. So last year, a young lady, her name was Ella Oldacre, okay? Isfeld. Geez, did you do her? Was she in your program? Yes. Right. So she's in the culinary program at Isfeld. Right. She goes all the way through from regionals, provincials, all the way to nationals, wins national gold. Right. Does the culinary program. That's right. Was it bronze or gold?
No.
It was bronze. I'm sorry. Okay. But the fact is that this is where the skilled trades kids and the skills and technology kids shine. They're not sport kids, right? They're not drama kids. They're not art kids. They're skills kids, right? We've had kids. Katie Brown right now. She's going to go hopefully and win the provincial electronics, right? Kathy Collins' son, Grayson. Great. Anyways, I'm taking him on a bus on Tuesday, Wednesday. He's hopefully going to win the national, all the way and go all the way to nationals for graphic design. But he's already admitted into, I believe it's UBC has accepted it, okay, for a design program. Where is this all coming from though, right? It's all from all these programs that we have in our district, right? That's all been building up since elementary school, right? Good old girls in their bottom with the spaghetti bridge, they're going for their title. They want better than bronze this year. And it just goes on and on and on, right? It's pretty cool though. I have to go and support some kids in Quebec City for a week in end of May. I know it's really tough, but it's quite nice to go to Quebec City in the end of May. I think the flowers are out by then. You might have to mow your lawn, but anyways, okay, but it goes all the way to Worlds. And we've actually had kids win nationals, golds, go on to Worlds, and place in Worlds. You got TELUS in this town? Des Hart. He keeps TELUS running in this town. Okay, he's the one that did all the way to Worlds. Hey, Joseph Fong did graphic design for Vandy. Okay, all the way to Worlds. It's pretty cool, right? But that's their place to shine, right? Skilled trades, technologies, pathways. I'll be honest, the trades programs in this valley bringing in $650,000, $700,000 to our district. That was last year. Okay, so there's a lot of money there. Okay, where does it start? It starts in grade 7, right? Grade 7 tri-trade could be younger, right? But elementary teacher says, I can't handle this kid. This kid will not sit still. They just want to build things. And they're your trades kids now. You know how many kids are working at Brian McLean right now in the last couple of years that went through our program? 5. Pretty cool to walk in there and every kid, hey class, and hey class, and hey class. It's kind of weird actually. Okay, but it starts there and it builds, right? So we have District Explore programs, right? The grade 7 tri-trade, District Explore, that's a one block course. Some ministry funding to help fund it. So you get lots of 2x4s and wiring and stuff because it's all expensive. It's at Highland and Vanier right now. Right? But they give back to the community, right? We did dog houses years ago. That was actually my picture. You know, there's little picnic tables went into the daycares, right? But it goes back and all those kids are building and learning hands-on skills. Trade skills, not shop class. Trade skills, very different. Okay? Then we get 3 district trades programs, right? They're all semester, every day. Okay? 1 day a week, they go work experience. So right now we have 45 kids on work experience every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in the community. Okay? Jordan Preeney just got hired at Dodge, at Brian McLean. He was number 5, by the way. Okay? So it's really cool. These kids get hired right away, right? They're on for the summer. Okay? A girl back in the Skills Canada picture, her name was Maya Diamond, by the way. That's her bandsaw box that she did. She was in the trade sampler. She worked after the trade sampler and doing her work experiences. She started Cameron Construction. From Cameron Construction, she went and won Skills Canada, right? Gold for carpentry. She's now at North Island College doing the carpentry program. And when she finishes July 15th, where'd she go? Right back to Cameron Construction. And she's making what, 26, 28 bucks an hour. Okay? And then she goes up from there. But the 3 trade samplers are awesome, right? The tours, that's what we did today. Tomorrow we're going back to the base mechanical area. They told us we're working on F-18 fighters. But I think what they really meant is they're going to actually have us make some little ones out of metal. I think the kids are going to be disappointed. Okay, but yeah, basically they get their certifications. Why would you send these kids up to the college without certifications? Women's they have to have. Okay? First aid they have to have. Heavy duty they got to have forklift. So we offer that in these trade samplers, right? But out of it, these kids go straight. Some of them go straight into the industry. They go to DN Auto. You probably have one of the kids that went right from grade 11, finished grade 12, semester 2, working there now. Okay, you go to Brian McLean, same thing. Joey Hampshire, working there. Okay, that gets us to the district trades programs. Well, there's about 40 of them this year. You know, you got the bunch of them sitting there doing carpentry. We have the plumbers, we have the electricians, we have the heavy mechanics, we have the auto techs, we have the auto collisions, we have the cooks. We have the 2 kids from Glacier View doing on 5th Street at Foundations, doing their apprenticeship hairdressing. Right? Linnea's got this perma grin every time I walk in there. She's so excited. She's got a job right away too. And she's learning to do what she loves to do. We sponsor the tuition, right? Which is pretty cool for the kids because if you don't have a lot of money, here's your tuition. Right? How does it work? Well, the ministry does give us money, and there's also all the other block funding stuff that's, you know, but bottom line is, we make some money to make sure that it's covered. Okay, but it's really cool. Those kids that are in our community, I can't go anywhere in this valley without seeing a kid at any place. All right, Tracy, you're up.
Tammy, sorry. I'm Tammy.
Tammy, Tracy, Tammy.
So trades are in demand big time in the Valley. You'll hear it on radio ads, you see it in all the job postings. These are taken from Skilled Trades BC, which is where the kids' hours get accumulated and looked after by the ministry and the government. These are the ones that are in demand right now, and we have students placed in, I think, all of them, including painter and decorator, which I just signed up not that long ago. So we're trying to support the trades that are in demand, and we also hear from our community members as well. I was just at Pelon Rentals the other day, and they were saying how they're really short on automotive service technicians, and what do we do to get more in here? They have heavy duty, but they also need the other end. So those are conversations I keep in mind when I'll talk about my other part of the job in a second. But yes, so these are all the top 12. Oh, and then that's me. So I'm also the youth work and trades teacher. So I work a lot with all the high schools, getting students who are in things like the trade samplers or the youth train and trade programs. When a student is already working in a trade, whatever trade that is, so cook, construction, meat cutting, mechanics, I find that student and they are already in talks with their business to sign them up as a sponsor for that student. So when students sign up for the Youth Work and Trades program, they are earning graduation credits, and they're also getting their work-based training hours to count towards their trade. So a lot of them come out of there with almost enough, if not enough hours to finish their level 1, whatever training they're choosing to do. They are signed up for 4 courses throughout this process, which gives them 16 credits, high school credits. They work 120 hours for each of those courses. And then if they continue up to 900 hours, they will qualify for a $1,000 scholarship. This year, I think I handed out, I counted at one point, but I forget what I had said. I think it was about 18 checks. So since this program has been running, about 193 checks for $1,000 have been handed out to students. And right now it's cash where they can go and put it towards tools or possibly school or whatever it is that they so choose. And with all these courses, I counted up today, it's about 108. I have over 27 students, I'm at 27 now, 27 students who will be eligible once they finish the program that signed up for this year. So in total, I have about 108 course claims for this Youth Work and Trades program.
And then we have the academics. So this is another big one. It's continuously grown every single year. We just did one of our big info nights, thank you. And alone at Van Nisveld, we have around 100 students that checked off the box that they're interested in this. And Highlands is a different can of worms altogether because we have different programs there. So we have a very large interest in this. The idea with dual credit academics is there's 2 things they can choose. Students can go and say, hey, I want to taste test college or university before I go. And I need you to help me do that. That's what we do. So we go, hey, you know what? Yeah, no problem. Come to our office. So we have our careers offices in our schools. They'll meet with the students. And then what we can do is we navigate with them. What are you interested in? Okay, well, let's apply to college. So we apply with them. And then we go through and we go, okay, well, you're interested in that. Let's have a look at that. What does that look like? How many years will that take? What courses could you take now? What fits into your schedule? So we allow them to taste test a few college courses. And the big piece about this is there was a study done, 80% of those students that take a dual credit course return within 5 years to go to post-secondary. Why does that? It's because they're okay. The anxiety around it has dissipated. They're going, oh, okay, it's doable. There's a lot of students that go, I don't know that I'll be able to do it. They get nervous about it. I go, did you do English 12? Yeah, I did English 12. Okay, then you'll be able to do the next course at college. English 12 is a very comparable course. A Science 12 course is a very considerable course. It's the same thing. It's just learning. You'll be fine. And so that's the big thing that we do is we support our students going there. And so for us, we have to have a relationship with a post-secondary institution for us to let them go there. So this year we have North Island College. Most of our students go there because they can go face-to-face. And we know success rates are higher when they go face-to-face. Camosun College, we just created that. So we have a whole bunch of students right now doing medical terminology at Camosun College. That is a requirement for a whole bunch of health field courses and for some nursing programs. So we have a lot of students doing that at Camosun College right now. And just so FYI, we're in works of building that to 5 different courses at Camosun College next year. And then another one, Vancouver Island University. So we have relations with them. We have a couple students go there because we have one of our NIDES programs that's actually based in Nanaimo. So a lot of those students will access the VIU campus so that they can take advantage of dual credit. And then we have a new one that's not up there this year. So currently right now at Highland, we are piloting emergency medical responder. So emergency medical responder is a program. It's from the Justice Institute of BC. So that's paramedics, firefighters, police, any of those types of programs, you go there to get your education. So we have Justice Institute in at Highland, and we now have them going to Isfeld next year. So our students will actually, they take the course at their school. When they graduate, they will be an emergency medical responder. So they can actually go out and get a job for that. A lot of our students, though, they actually need it if they want to be a firefighter. A lot of students are taking it because they're curious about nursing, and all students need it if they want to go be a paramedic. And with that, we have a bunch of different presenters that come in and talk to the students. So that one's a big one that's happening right now, and Vanier students are pleading to be a part. So one of the things we talked about too is, can we make this a district program? How do we grow it? Because more and more students are wanting access to it. Oh, I have the clicker. Okay. Next one, students can taste test a class, up to 3 classes. Most, honestly, they'll do 1 or 2 classes. They'll be like, okay, this fits in second semester, grade 12. I'm going to try a class and see how it goes. The other thing students can do is they can actually take an entire certificate program at the college. And we have a lot of students that do that. So we have these 3. These tend to be our popular ones. Early childhood education, healthcare assistant, and office administration. And one of the biggest barriers for us is communication. Constantly hearing it. I didn't know about this. How did I not know about this? But trust me, we advertise like now, put it in the weekly announcements that go out at each of our high schools. We host big parent nights, and those are advertised all over the place. So I think we are reaching a broader and broader group of the parent population because our numbers are continuously growing each year. So with that early childhood education, 10-month students actually have to be super organized for this. They actually basically have to be done high school in grade 11, which is very doable for a lot of our students. So they can actually go take the entire certificate program and they can leave high school making $24 an hour. Another one, healthcare assistant. Many students choose this or courses within this. So example, that medical terminology or biology 160. Because they're interested in either being a nurse. In this one, they could actually take the healthcare assistant certificate. They leave again with a job in June. They can use this program. There's actually a bridge program at North Island College to become a nurse. So students can be working, making good money, and then still apply and go do nursing courses so that they're not going as far in debt. So we run that program. And then as well, office administration. And this is one, when I go in and I'm speaking with classrooms, I'm like, if you don't know what you want to do and you think you're just going to take a gap year, but you're not sure if you're going anywhere, take a couple classes. At least make $21 to $23 an hour so you can pay to go do all the fun things in your gap year. And as well, it just gives them an opportunity to then they can either continue on and get a diploma program, or at least they can have a good job while they go and try something else. And the last one, this one's kind of random. So digital marketing. This is a very in-demand job right now. So you know when you're on the internet and you see all the ads? Well, we are actually providing opportunities for our students to be those ad people. And so on Indeed right now, there's 81,000 job postings for this job alone. It's massively in demand. So the program, it's a $4,000 program, but the company that offers it isn't a post-secondary. So what we have to do is we have contracted them to provide an opportunity for our students. So we have there's 200 seats each year. So not to worry, we have lots of seats. So we have 200 seats. It's a $4,000 program. Our students do have to pay $350, but we do make sure that that's not a barrier. And the students can take it. We have 2 openings each year. And so our biggest one is in July. We have a lot of grade 11 and 12 students that are unsure what they want to do. So they'll do this, they can finish it in 6 weeks. So in 6 weeks, and then if they just want to work part-time, they can have a base salary job of $50,000 a year. We call this a gig job. So a lot of students are heading into the gig economy. And so what the gig economy is, a lot of our students will have 2 part-time jobs. And then they'll do contract work on the side. Like that's very common nowadays. And so more and more industry is heading that way, especially as things automatize. And so anyways, this is a gig economy job, very popular with our students.
Camps.
All right, so we have 4 district camps. A couple have been running for a long time, even year, odd year. So even year is the fire camp, which was just completed a little bit before spring, or over spring break?
Over spring break.
Over spring break, and it was in the paper, right? Next year obviously will be RCMP camp, right? We've had 2 years now of marine search and rescue. So if you're participating in search or in snow to surf, they're going to be out on the water. So what they've been doing is going since January in the evenings, and then they're out on Sundays out on the water, and they're driving the boats, and they're learning everything for search and rescue. What's really interesting is of those 6 kids, there's 3 of them that actually want to go into Coast Guard. So once again, we're providing opportunities, whether it's fire, RCMP, whatever camps, whatever programs, we're trying to provide experiences for those kids so they really say, yes, I want to do this, before they just go with, oh, I'm just going to jump in this and go, oh, I don't like it, right? So we're trying our best to offer camps, and then the EMR camp that Don was talking about earlier. So those are the 4 camps right now, very popular, right? Comox Fire Hall is absolutely amazing with the kids when they do that camp. So it's a great community thing, and that goes back to that community piece. Why is the search and rescue, Marine Search and Rescue Station 60 doing this with us? It's community reach, right? We connect with people. That's the cool thing. And they all want to see the next generation of kids coming up. Okay, district robotics. I'm a little perturbed because this is the Island Championship robot right here. And it keeping me in remote control, and I'm pretty sure it was intentional. Okay, so I can't run it. Okay, so here's the thing. So first off, Robotics 71. What is it? It's 50 to 60 kids every Tuesday, Thursday night, and on Wednesdays, and on Saturdays, and on Sundays, because it isn't just VEX robotics, it's Skills Canada robotics, and it's FIRST robotics. And I'm being honest, I wanted to bring the FIRST robot in, but it's about 150 pounds, and it's about 6 times bigger than that. Okay, and they were in Victoria for 3 weeks, or for 3 days. They competed as a rookie team, and it's all the skill sets that you learn. Okay, so these kids are from Cumberland. I got Cumberland kids driving all the way down, right after school to get to Highland after school. I shouldn't say I. Okay, the program has, right? Isfeld, Highland, Vanny, Nides, right? They're all coming together. And what's really cool is these teams, they're not even teams from the same school. The kids going to the Worlds, 25th to 28th of April, they're from different schools, each one on the team, right? So there's no longer these barriers of this school versus that school. It's all intertwined, right? We are known district, like nationally, for this. We've had kids in the top 3, top 10 in the world of 20,000 teams, 50 different countries, right? But what's cool is where these kids go, right? So when you think of what we start with at grade 7 and robotics, right? You start with this, but this is starting in an enter program, right? And from the enter programs, and then the high schools of physics engineering programs, all those programs all the way up, right? The Englishes, the physics, the engineerings, all this stuff, they have to actually be interviewed by judges every single time they do a competition, 5-6 times a year. Look at how thick this binder is of all the data that an engineer would have to go through to actually solidify what's going on. You look at the quality of this, okay? And they stand up for 15 minutes and judge. Now, what's really cool is when you get to that and you understand the whole picture of everything, right? And then you go to the community partnership and you go, okay, Nick Horrell, you're grade 12. You're going to go into the industrial automation program at Northumberland College next year. You're going to come out of that 2 years later and you're going to get a job like that, okay? But your machine shop in Camel River has got this amazing program. We're looking for a kid. Hey, Nick, why don't you go up there and interview? Nick goes up there, interview comes back, which says, this kid is so impressive, I didn't even want a summer student. We're hiring the student. So when you culminate all of this stuff in all the programs, everything from grade 7 all the way up or even younger, it culminates with this stuff. And these kids going to the Worlds, right? And that's what's cool. Now, this is the techie high-end kids. These are your 4.0 kids. I mean, they go into calculus, a 20-minute lesson, and they go back and they work on the robots. I can't do that, right? But that's where these kids go. So it's a fantastic program to bring everybody together to actually culminate all this learning, and you feed them at the bottom with grades 9s. It kind of is like a living organism, And it spits out all these kids that get $100,000 scholarships. Right, Tail Lemay a couple years back, 100,000. Okay, there's a Katie Brown right now, she's going to U of A. Okay, she's already got 10 or 15 scholarships. I'm pretty sure she said she's shortlisted for the Schulitzer Award again, the $100,000. It's kind of cool, right? So, but it's the skill sets, all that stuff that comes together, all that learning, right, that culminates in this. That's one example of all the different programs that are in this district. So I'm a little bummed because you did not leave me alone.
So Steve, I have the unfortunate job as chairs to remind people of the time.
Done.
And I wasn't sure how much longer you were going to go because I'm sure trustees have questions to ask. So I just was wondering,
There's one more slide.
yeah, that's okay. I'm just wondering. It's okay.
It's a 45-minute slide. Our program.
You know me.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Anyway, so go ahead with one more slide and then we'll have time for some questions. I just didn't want people to not be able to have that conversation.
I just wanted to thank you for the time for our district career team. As you can see, the breadth and scope of what they do, supporting our students, staff, and community throughout the year is really wide. And this is kind of the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure in the years ahead, we'll arrange some other showcase kind of presentations. We have more about culinary we'd like to share as well, which is what Tammy's brought to the table this year with her new role. But thank you, team. Thank you, Sherry and Zale. And if there's time for questions, if not, we can always answer them virtually too.
I just want to say one thing. If you really want to see something cool, please, Tuesday or Thursday after school, at 4 o'clock, so as long as those kids are willing to keep the teacher there, show up and see what they're doing.
Where?
Highland Secondary, the back of the building, in the auto bot shop. And just see them all work from across the district.
Thank you. Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, we all should feel like the love for the work that you're all doing is palpable, and thank you for sharing your heart in this project. I'm just curious, because I see, and we hear in consultation, the safe space that many of these programs are creating for tons of students. Like, what do you feel, if you can just articulate something that is really reaching those students who may not otherwise be coming out? Is it the trip you have to Queenish, the trip you have to, to different schools right now, sort of getting out to the elementary level programs, or what do you feel is helping that reach get further if you weren't able to easily finish grade 11, graduate by the end of grade 11 and then go, oh great, that was easy, now I'm ready for, what do you feel is helping that reach, if you may?
Mind if I take that one?
Please do.
I think one of the things that is so great about the program is it inspires kids at all grade levels. And so it starts to build that passion, like right from K right to 12, to try and get those kids. And I know that some kids maybe, are the kids that take a long time to find that. But then by providing opportunities at Glacier View and Nalatsi and all of the different opportunities, we're hoping to tag kids. And I'll share a really interesting story is in my role, I was dealing with a student at Lake Trail who struggled, and I ran into her this year at Nalatsi, and she's doing one of our apprenticeship programs. And when I knew her a few years ago, she was a kid that I really worried about. And just talking to her and hearing the passion she's found in an interest area was really, really exciting. And I think just giving kids so many opportunities and such a breadth of pathways, it just gives them so much choice and helps them engage and gives them more opportunity.
We focus on celebrating, your degree post-secondary, celebrate a ticket, and celebrate a meaningful job. And all those are on the same playing ground.
The career pathway opens so many doors for kids, right? It creates a chance for them to make money, find a passion, find a career, be self-sufficient. And honestly, it's really, Steve touched on with so many names that he mentioned. It's really neat to touch base with those kids that found that passion and been inspired and taken that step and turned their area of interest into a career and a money-making opportunity.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a story about one of my culinary arts students who would not have taken this program if we didn't have that relationship with Camosun. So I do the program with Camosun College. So this student was working in a kitchen in town, very passionate about it, but didn't have the means to do it. So reached out to Camosun, email, in a trade, yeah, get her on the phone. So they paid for everything for her. They paid for her knives, her textbooks. I took her shopping in Campbell River. We got things that maybe she wouldn't get till years later, but we're like, let's get it. And so she is fully stocked and ready, all because Camosun and that relationship. And now for year 2, she's set and ready to go.
Any other questions? I have Susan and Christy.
Oh, me first? Okay. First, I just want to say, wow, hands up to you, your commitment, your passion, the diversity of your programs, all of the different pathways that have been opened up in your connections to post-secondary and trades opportunities for kids. Incredible. Has this ever grown since I was here? So in from my mind, love. Wow.
Thank you.
So congratulations on all of your work and your passion. And I don't know if I don't even know if I can say congratulations, but I'm just so excited about it. And it's that kind of passion that ignites the spirit of kids. So awesome. And I have a question. My question is, the K-7 level in the careers curriculum, I wrote down that you had picture books and you had totes for schools, right? Yep. And that you had created through the picture books some lesson plans, etc. It is, do all classes do these?
They all have access to them, yes.
Okay, so they have access, but are they, is it part of the K-7 curriculum to do careers, is what I'm trying to say. I know it is in the new curriculum. I know it's K-12, but is it part of every teacher's work?
I believe it is. I think we talk about it up. I think since we've been here over the past few years, it's continued to grow, and access to it has, like, we're getting more and more emails from teachers saying, thanks, can I, could you, that sort of thing. I think the presenters are the biggest piece that's been the biggest uptake for teachers. And I know that the teacher librarians, they do present at their staff meetings. So that's kind of one of the things is, okay, I'm coming in, I'm supporting you. I need you to present at all your staff meetings. So each of them does present at their staff meetings and support in the classroom. So I know specifically I met with Deb at Quinish, and same with Rick out in Cumberland. And they are always in the classrooms doing careers. And I think a lot of that comes from the teacher librarians feel more confident with it. So they're going in and supporting the classroom teachers with it.
Okay, I was just wondering if it's optional. This was my question. Is that I would hope that this kind of opportunity and growing was for every child. Right?
Absolutely.
Can I add to that? It's the varying levels. And so every teacher's, it's in the curriculum, every teacher's going to touch on career education. It's some teachers take it further than others, and providing the opportunity for resources helps those teachers that maybe struggle with, what am I going to teach for career? And again, provides the opportunity to access those resources and really inspire kids with what these three and all of the people within careers have provided to help push the learning.
Thank you.
Christy.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of this. It's, I mean, I know that there are so many kids that would slip through the cracks without these programs because not everyone's an academic. And so, thank you for all of that you offer. My question is where do you see things moving forward, and what would you, in your, in an ideal situation, would you look to expand to add, additional options and additional trades, or would you rather see what we're doing expanded to include more students? Because with all of the programs, there are a limited number of spaces. So what would you see as an ask, I suppose, or where you would like to see things go moving forward? More of an expansion concept or more of doing more of what we're already doing, I guess is my question.
A lot of things come from my point of view, a lot of things come from numbers, right? And you look at, like we're very fortunate up here. We have a first come, first serve with the college, right? If you are down in Nanaimo with VIU or Camosun, you are all vying for 1 or 2 seats at a college from your school. So as long as we are ahead of the game, and which we are a very smart district this way, and a smart careers department, we're ahead of the game. And we already have kids accepted to the college for next February already because we're proactive, right? But there also is only so many seats that, Skilled Trades BC offers at colleges and stuff, right? Can we get our own programs running in our district? You're really struggling to get 16 really good kids that are going to get through. So it's a hard one to expand because there's also, all the shops are full right now, right? From a trades point of view, you can't expand out, right? But it's to sustain it and make sure that all the programs supporting it, I think, continue to be there, and grow, right? And more teachers that are, it's the last time I presented here at the board, right? Which I don't know who all was here. I mean, Jess, I know you were, right? And I think, one of the questions was, what about trades and the stigma behind it, right? And we're all academics in here for the most part. We've all gone to university for the most part, right? And, there's that stigma. Why are the shops out in the back, right? But that's changing. So it is growing because the teachers in the buildings and things, everybody's realizing that we don't all have to go to university anymore, right? They're, I'll be honest. My son is 21. Went to North Island College for 2 years, okay? He makes more money than me at 21 years old. He's in Toronto, right? And he's happier flying all over the country, right? He works at a chicken McNugget making factory where 120,000 chickens come in the morning and 1,000 chicken nuggets a minute, right? But he goes and installs and stuff, right? I'm just saying that as an example, right? Like these kids, for us or for me, it's about offering just the breadth of what the 3 of us do and all the people do, right? It's just, the career workers in the schools. Just that whole thing expanding to the community. And the community, I think now in the last 3 or 4 years is definitely more supportive of the schools now and wanting, because they've recognized the worker shortage. And so they're really coming to us saying, hey, we're looking for, right? So I think that's how we're going to expand. It's going to grow more into working, I think, with the community.
And our focus, I flipped back on one of the first slides, was to each year take a look at where we're at, what our goals are, and what are the needs in our community and our schools.
Yeah.
And ensure that we're looking forward to tomorrow and what the needs are coming up. And there may be some offerings and programs that we've traditionally offered that don't connect to where society is going. So we're always in this kind of rebirth, re-examining of our goals and what does society and community need for careers, trades, post-secondary. Someone mentioned some of those new post-secondary programs. They were just coming onto the radar last year. And we wouldn't even thought of that 2 years ago. So great question. And we're continuously updating where we want to go.
So once again, on behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for coming out this evening and spending the evening with us, sharing your passion and the great work that you're doing. And I know I've been on the board here for over 12 years, and I've seen the evolution of the program from when it started to where it's now, and how you're not only adjusting to the workforce, but also to the students' needs. It's really amazing to see students, and I've had a grandchild that have gone through the program, and the barriers where it wasn't cool for girls to go and do the hammer and nails to now we've got more girls in the woodworking class sometimes than you have the boys. So, and that's through the great work that you have done as educators and leaders within the district. And once again, thank you, because our students and our community are better because of you and the work that you're doing. And we hope again to have some more examples of the great work that you're doing and seeing what's happening within the schools. So thank you again, and we hope to continue the conversation.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest. And a motion to adjourn. All those opposed? Second? I have Christine, I have SJ. Any objections?
We're adjourned.